Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. A senior Hamas official says he expects a ceasefire to be agreed with Israel within the next 2 days as international pressure mounts on Israel and the Palestinian militants to end hostilities. Interventions from the US, Egypt, the UN and others could be close to bearing fruit. Jeremy Bowen is in Jerusalem with the latest.
Speaking this evening to senior Israeli officials, what they have been saying to me is emphasizing that it's not immediate, but a path to. I think this is in its end game now, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if by, this time tomorrow or even sooner, there will be some kind of a ceasefire in place.
The Democratic-controlled US House of Representatives has voted in favour of establishing a commission to investigate the storming of the Capitol on January the 6th. A significant number of Republicans voted in favour of the proposal, but the party's leaders in both the House and the Senate are opposed, and the legislation is unlikely to pass the Senate. 5 people were killed when supporters of former President Trump stormed the Capitol to try to prevent the Electoral College confirming Joe Biden's victory in November's election. The Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, has said his first meeting with the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has been constructive. The two men held almost 2 hours of talks in Iceland. Mr. Blinken raised Washington's deep concerns at Russian troop deployments in Ukraine, the need for continued humanitarian access to Syrian refugees, and the health of the Russian opposition activist Alexei Navalny. Mr. Lavrov said that the two countries' presidents had agreed on the need to cooperate on issues where they had similar views.
We greatly diverge when it comes to our assessments of international situations and our approaches towards how we should resolve them. Our position is clear. We are prepared to discuss all issues on the table with the understanding that our discussions will be honest, factual, and mutually respectful. Our task is to make the best of the diplomatic opportunities we have, and we are glad to see you are demonstrating such an approach. You can always rely on us to respond mutually to such intentions.
For his part, Secretary of State Blinken said Washington wanted a stable, predictable relationship with Moscow. Mr. Blinken also said that the US had waived sanctions against Nord Stream 2, the company building a gas pipeline from Russia to Germany. A State Department report on the sanctions, which were issued during the Trump administration, concluded that it was in the US national interest to lift the measures despite evidence that the firm and its CEO had been engaged in sanctionable activity. The $11 billion project will send gas from Arctic Russia to Germany under the Baltic Sea. Construction is expected to be completed later this year. World news from the BBC. The Republican governor of the US state of Texas has signed a bill outlawing abortion at 6 weeks of pregnancy. Greg Abbott said it would ensure the life of every unborn child with a heartbeat. The bill makes no exception for rape or incest and allows abortion providers or facilitators to be prosecuted. Police in Guatemala say at least 4 prisoners have been killed during a riot in a prison in the west of Guatemala. The disturbances took place shortly before the end of visiting hours in the jail in the town of Cantel, around 200 kilometres from the capital. The Congress in Colombia has dropped a number of the controversial health reforms which have sparked more than 20 days of nationwide protests. Critics of the bill said it would have led to the privatisation of Colombia's health system. Protesters who had gathered in the centre of the capital, Bogotá, applauded the decision, which they said was a victory for their movement. The American sprinter and civil rights activist Lee Evans has died at the age of 74. He was the first man to run 400 metres in under 44 seconds, a feat he achieved in the Olympic final at the 1968 Mexico City Games. With the latest for us, here's Julian Bedford.
The 68 Olympics came at the height of the Black Power movement, and black American athletes at the Games made their sympathies clear. Days after Tommie Smith and John Carlos had been sent home for their clenched fist salutes as they received their medals for the 200 metres, Lee Evans won the 400 in a world record time. A team official warned him not to pull a similar stunt, but the champion took to the podium in a black beret, a nod to the dress code of the militant political organisation, the Black Panthers.
Julian Bedford reporting on Lee Evans, who's died at the age of 74. And that's the latest BBC News.